What's today's mathematics? Peace, peace, peace in the absence of all confusion. I'm back with y'all. I had to place you on pause for a minute. Had a lot of things going on. Had to readjust, you know. I readjusted also by letting you know that my page is called God in the Streets. Triple OG for God, Gangster, and Gentleman. Also, GMG for Get Money Guards. Yeah, we had that before Uncle Murder came out with that. All right? Anyway, today, the Power of Refinement Day. I'd like to give a shout out to my little brother, B Original King. It's his Coach's Cipher born day. And I was supposed to be down there in the Law Gardens with him. But unfortunately, due to circumstances beyond my control, I couldn't make it. So I decided to come back and finish hitting the world with this supreme wisdom. I would like to also state that I'm doing this for the sole purpose of sharing my life growing up as a young black man in East New York, Brooklyn, who was led into a life of economic ventures, to keep it politically correct, because we have major pharmaceutical companies that each and every day put drugs out here that destroy our communities. It's just recently that now that Oxycontin affects, the predominantly Caucasian community, that, it's a problem. And they're being, financially chastised for something that they knew they was doing wrong from the beginning. I'm not here in any type of way to justify my actions, but I'm here to tell you real stories of real life situations during the course of me having knowledge of self. People want to point fingers all the time. Oh, you 5%ers, this, that, and the third. How many Christians, how many Muslims, how many other individuals participated in things that wasn't right and exact? I don't got nothing against my Muslim brothers that came from the East, but a lot of y'all wasn't like the ones that we knew. Shout out to my man, Muhammad and Zek, that owned the stores on Sutter and Autumn. and Sutter and Pine, because they was from real. They was out of Ethiopia, you know, and they loved the guards back then because we was all on the corners, on the streets, giving the knowledge, giving the wisdom, giving the understanding of who we was as young black individuals. Yeah, we did a lot of destructive things later on in our lives, in our community, that we held responsible for. And this is why now it's time for us real OGs to give back, to try and straighten out some of these things. See, because we come from the days like what Biggie said, you know, go on with your fist fight ways. This ain't back in the days. Well, maybe if we go back to the days, you know, where there's fist fights, where individuals can just get a bloody nose, you know what I'm saying, a black eye, you know, a tooth knocked out, then maybe some of y'all will go back to being, you know, real men. You know, because I come from the era, like you said, y'all, this, that, and the third, y'all old school, whoop, whoop, whoop. But at least we had rules. You know what I'm saying? There's rules to this. You can't just go out there and do what you want and take innocent lives and, you know, nobody is held accountable or you're not accountable for your actions. And I understand a lot of you young brothers. You know why I understand y'all? Because y'all are the product of the destruction of that crack era. Y'all are the product, you know what I'm saying, that makes me ashamed that I had participated in that era. But there's realities for everything. And there's choices for everything. So don't get it wrong and think that I'm up here trying to justify my actions. I'm up here trying to glorify, you know, what we did. But in all reality, y'all know what America is built on. You know what capitalism is built on. Capitalism is built on capitalizing. It's cold-blooded and it's ruthless. And people capitalize for a lot of different things and a lot of different reasons. We have to decide what we want to do and what we're going to make of our life, of our future. We got young black men out here right now, you know what I'm saying, that they killing each other and they don't even got a criminal record. Down here in the South, these little small towns, they going crazy. They always had weapons. But who will we use the weapons on? One another. We get out there and march, Black Lives Matter, every time a cop kills one of us. You know what I'm saying? But do Black lives really matter in our own community? That's where it's got to matter. You can't have individuals doing drive-bys and shooting up houses, killing 18, 19-year-old young black queens with babies in their stomach. The babies ain't even given a chance to be born. But once again, like I understand, because y'all are babies out of the crack era. Y'all are babies, you know what I'm saying, will never receive no unconditional love. We might have turned into monsters out there in the streets, so-called, but we grew up with our mothers giving us love. Every last one of the gangsters that I'm going to speak about, from Cypress to Tompkins, to Bed-Stuy, to East New York, Coney Island, you know what I'm saying, Queens, Nori, Left Rat, Baisley, Supreme Team, all over. P-Law, the Bronx. We were spreading this. Now what do y'all do? As soon as it's anything with a confrontation, the first thing that you do to address it is to go pick up a gun. Remember one thing, once you take life, that life can't never be brought back. As we say in our lessons, the dead is never known to return from the grave. In all the history of Islam. So you got to think about that. But once again, when we're talking about becoming products of our environment, it's deep. You know, I done seen how far it could go. Like I stated, crack was the only thing that made mothers not mothers. I seen alcoholics, I seen heroin addicts, I seen them all take care of their babies. But crack brought about a different monster. And the woman is the nurturer. That's why we attach to her. She's the reproducer. So if we don't get no nurturing from our old earth, then how can we know love or respect love from anyone else? And if you don't got no love, then you possibly can't have no regard for life. So I'm drifting off from a lot of things because I looked at where I had stopped at, because mainly this is a lot about that environment in which I come from, which is Cypress Hill Projects in East New York, Brooklyn. And I happen to be one of the ones that was there, you know, from the beginning. And like I stated in my first video, I was trying to show the people what type of environment that when I first moved out to East New York and how it was. Because a lot of times y'all be doing different things just to get a reputation. So you may live in a nice neighborhood. You know, your parents, you know, is well-to-do. Like I never even finished with my uncles from Queens, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm jumping around trying to give it all to you, but I'm also keeping certain things in my mind that I need to address, because I know that it's people on the sideline, and you know, people always got something to say, whether good, bad, or indifferent, you know? But like I was stating to y'all before, growing up, when I was going back and forth to Queens over my grandmother's house at 8 years old by myself, I had 3 uncles, you know? My oldest uncle, Stanley, Abdullah, the first one to introduce me, you know, to Islam when he was locked up in the federal penitentiary, in which he had, you know, we come from that era, that's what I'm saying, where, you know, we looked up to bank robbers, you know? So my uncle was classified as a mastermind of a bank robbery, you know? And it was ironic to me, because I remember slightly when he did it, because he came in and I was jumping around, you know, doing my usual thing like I was young. And that's a little bit ironic, because my grandmother, she used to always get on my youngest uncle. You know, I'm going to throw all of them in there bit by pieces. My youngest uncle, you know, because like the 60s, you know, heroin affected everywhere. and everybody. So even though they was out in Queens and they was living in a nice house, and my grandfather and grandmother had, good jobs in the hospital or whatever at that time, and would give them anything because, my uncle was already going, that's when I first found out about Warwick, Boys Town, Sparkle, because they was, messing with that H. So my youngest uncle, who of course, I'm attached to him because he come in at night, and when the fiends, when they ain't got no, heroin, they gotta have something sweet, So he'll go make some Kool-Aid, and he'll go downstairs and he'll take the whole sugar bowl jar and dump it in there, might do 2, 3. And at that time, of course, I ain't know nothing about no dietary laws, so I still was eating pork and beans, and like I said, he filled the pork and beans up with butter and all that, and I go in the room and, I start drinking the Kool-Aid, eating the pork and beans, and it's all sugared up. So you know how a young kid is, once he gets sugared up, he ready to go, like he took a hit. And I'm jumping, going crazy. My grandmother coming in and, oh, you had that boy up? Oh, I see why. You better not give him no more of that Kool-Aid with all that damn sugar in there, boy. And she'll ball him out, But anyway, my young Uncle Kenneth too, he was a gangster. He was, you know what I'm saying? He was cock diesel with the hands, so he used to take me up there on Linden Boulevard back then when I was young with him, do his thing, If he ain't had nothing, you better look out, because, young Kenneth, was known to knock individuals out, and with my middle uncle, Junior, that I had that experience with, like I told you, when I was 7 years old with the heroin, and, because of him, I thank him, you know what I'm saying, to the supreme utmost, that I never wanted to indulge in that world. But anyway, like I stated, I want to clearly let you know, because I belong to two things, I'm, how they said it in Blood In and Blood Out when they was, and I'm not relating this to no gang thing. Like I said, I got my own representation of the way I like to talk and my vocabulary. So don't misconstrue this and try and utilize it. I know you out there, Ron Hovey and all the rest of y'all that like to try and box us, 5% Nation of God to Earth into a box like a gang. You know what I'm saying? But in that movie, he made relation to, he's hardcore, BFG, or BGF, Black Gorilla Family. You know what I'm saying? Well, on that note, then you would say, I'm hardcore 5% Nation of God to Earth. So, from that figure of speech, like I said, I still would not like you to use that as justification to anything that I'm saying as the basis, and the principles in which the 5% nation was created. We always stand on that. A Law World Manifest, which is about teaching babies, which is about teaching all the human families of the planet Earth civilization, to make one have knowledge of self, so that they will not be a savage in the pursuit of happiness. But in the same token, we live in a real world, and we did real things. You know what I'm saying? And my man Glaze, y'all take it or leave it however y'all want to be, because, you know, individuals want to talk and say this, that, and the third, you know. At the end of the day, I know him. I know my man Kool-Aid well. You know, I even talked to him. I got a little feedback, you know, and I know once again I'm jumping on around, you know, about, you know, what I made the statement when I had the interview with him about D-Nice. You know what I'm saying? And once again, D-Nice, that wasn't nothing personal when I talked about the first time I seen you and how heavy you was on the Jews and riding, you know, the Honda Elite and everything else. And like I told Cool before, you know, you even went in on that situation. The last time I seen you, I was down at Junior's and me and you bumped heads, and you had that coupe Lexus and you had DC plates on it. And you said, "What's up, dog?" Boom, boom, boom. Because like I said, man, I've been living this forever. I'm not no two sides of the fence type of guard or 5%. And yes, we did a lot of things like AZ said. You know, we was all 5%ers, but a lot of us turned into sinners. Yeah, we did a lot. But those was those times. Those was under those circumstances. And I'm here to address all of that. Because like I said, taking it back to those days in Cypress, Pink Houses, Linden Plaza, Pink Houses, the powerhouses, Linden Plaza, Mount Everest. Cypress, we never gave it no name. But most of the knowledge came from the back. And like I said, going back to the community center and everything, the way that it was set up back then, it was a lot of things inside of those communities, after school centers. I used to go to the center, Pink Houses, center, Cypress, when we was back there then. You know what I'm saying? Raheem, Jeff, Treadway, Gay, you know what I'm saying? I got pictures, you know, to show I got a classic. I got a classic. I ain't even begin with my whole story right here, because I was trying to get into me. Right there, that's a picture, right? In that picture is, I used to call him, because I remember when he wasn't God, just like he remember when I wasn't God. You know, the light skin, understanding, see, brother, on the side is Artie. That was his government name, and I could only talk about him because rest in power, black man. You know what I'm saying? He gone. He one of the individuals that Glaze talk about, you know what I'm saying, having something to do with, you know, his little Eminem thing, you know? And then in the middle is my man Gangsta It, Jimmy Harris. This picture is a classic right here. You know what I'm saying? Look at what they wearing back then. That's in the 80s. You know? Down at the bottom, the man himself also, Abijah. You know what I'm saying? All of us was back in the community center, boxing with 16-ounce gloves on and the whole get down. You know what I'm saying? That's my man T, Trev, from the powerhouses with the sheepskins on. Because you know back then you couldn't wear and go around, fly and all that if you was, you know, a fake dude. You know what I'm saying? I ain't even really, you know, want to just go in, because individuals, you know, is already hitting me with a lot of different, you know, tones about this. From the first interview, you know, with Glaze. But I went on there for two reasons. One was that, you know, the brother kept, you know, putting it out there. And on some real serious science, you know, I am one of the ones that could tell it from beginning to end and tell it the right and proper way that it should be told. Because we wasn't savages in the pursuit of happiness. It was a foundation to that. Like I said, 18 is a movement. You know, I just was holding back with a lot of, you know, the other part, you know, to get you to have a better understanding of where we come from and a better understanding of what Cypress Hill, what East New York was before it became, you know, one of the most, you know, terrorizing hoods in the United States of America. And I got plenty of newspaper articles, pictures, and everything else to back up what I say. Because first of all, you know, my word is bond regardless of whom or what. But once again, getting back to telling you about my upbringing and the whole Cypress Hill thing is because, like I said, once again, you're going to see the whole culture of hip-hop evolve. Because remember one thing, it's us that was out in the street. Y'all see all the pictures from back then, the jewelry, the clothes. You know, I got all the stories, Lil Miguel and my man Donique, and how we ended up with the tail shot. I got stories for y'all. Real stories. But my main objective here is to give y'all some science or to see, you know what I'm saying, how all these things develop now. Regentrification, all of that. Because that's what we was dealing with when we first decided to go into the drug thing. That we were supposed to get this money and buy back our community. Get those bodegas and, you know, them Chinese restaurants and everything else that's in our community that don't never support us or give a dime back to us or our children. And that was the first economical thing that came along that wasn't controlled by the white man once again. Because prior to that, even in Nicki and all of them stages and them individuals and everybody else that blew up back then off of that heroin thing, they were supplied by, you know what I'm saying, the Guineas, the mafia. And excuse me if I'm not politically correct when I say certain things, because I'm not saying nothing, you know what I'm saying, to knock nobody's, you know, ethnical background or anything like that, or, you know, their preference of gender or anything like that. Because if you show me love, I'm going to show you love. But like I said, once again, they was controlling everything. It wasn't until we got with the Dominicans, you see, that everything changed. So I'm jumping around because it's so much in me. I'm trying to get it all out, but I don't want to jump too far and start telling you things that's going all the way into that era. So I wanted to slow it down and just give y'all everything, you know what I'm saying, that make up. You know, I'll be seeing everybody be placing, I'm so Brooklyn for real. Utica skating ring, Empire, all that. The zoo, you know what I'm saying? Skate City. Because they were scared to have clubs in Brooklyn back in the days. Because like the records say, Manhattan make it, Brooklyn take it. Yeah, because we wasn't fortunate like Harlem, you know what I'm saying, where y'all had all the players and y'all was taught the number game and this and boosting, and you know the old timers always put y'all on. All the old G's taught us in the neighborhood, if you want something, you got to go take it. So it was always a different type of vibe there. You know what I'm saying? And what's the problem is that everybody wanna, oh, I live in the jungle, this, that, and the third. Why? It's cool to live in a nice neighborhood. I'm in Flatbush, East Flatbush, all that, off the hook. And some of the time I be saying, yo, what's this all about? Because like I said, back then in Cyprus, when I was young, we was all like family. Me and Ab, all of them, we have our little, little scrimmages because, that's all about manhood. And that's all about growing up, and it's all about, making your name ring bells. But one thing about it back then, and I wish I still had that picture, you know what I'm saying? Matter of fact, I gave that picture to LD. It was two of them. It was an outstanding night down on 42nd Street. And I'm quite sure that Ab probably remember, Skeet probably remember, you know what I'm saying? I don't even know, another one, Law rest in peace, Molani. I don't know if he was in that. But it was a picture we took down on 42nd Street, man. And that one was so Cyprus because all of us was in that picture together. And we had like a pyramid. It was so many of us, in front of, the movie theater down on 42nd Street. And when I got back, on the train, and we was getting off, and LD was like, yo, like, Shao, let me get one of them pictures. Doreen, Miss Dillon, any of y'all still around, y'all got any of them pictures, I'm open. Because once I get started, I'm going to have the rappers calling me, the real OGs for all over, because this is universal platform. And everything I'm giving up, if you was there or not there, or you was taught as they say, officially, or you was cut from that cloth, and this, that, and the third, then we can relate. Because real recognize real all over the planet. So once again, going back to those Cyprus days, because by being in the center, we used to have, circuses in the project, right? In all the community centers. That's how I learned about Castle Hill in the Bronx, and Soundview, and Bronx River, you know what I'm saying? That's how I went out to, Marlboro, Surfside. And we used to have carnivals. We had all those things going on. And like I said, that going upstate to them sleepaway camps for them 2 weeks, you get a chance, we were all different nationalities, just kids being kids. When you put kids in a room and they playing, none of them is talking about the color of their skin, because they children. So they play like children. It's grown-ups that teach them to hate each other based on the color of their skin. So like I said, when I first moved out there, we had plenty of Caucasian people out there in the projects. Shout out to even some of them Italian dudes that was around here. Like I told you about, excuse my lingo when I say white boy, it's nothing derogatory. White boy Vinny. And that's what we called them. That's a well-known graffiti writer that wrote, did Car to Cars, man. But I was getting ready to say about this other white boy that stayed right across the street from the park, from Cyprus, on Euclid Avenue. And his name was Fat Boy Petey. I heard later on he went on, to become a part of the Gambino family, whatever. Same thing with, which was crazy, when Michael Griffin got killed out in Howard Beach, Because if anybody know anything about the diners that was infamous, you know, in Brooklyn or whatever, especially on our end, you had Pennsylvania. Don't go to Pennsylvania diner jeweled up or none of that if you're not official and you don't know all the thorough, you know what I'm saying, wolves out there, because they gonna have you. And on our end, we at the Linwood diner. You know what I'm saying? We're all, you know, GMG, you know, get money guards, you know, do, rock, you know, one, you know what I'm saying? Spar, Justice Ball, you know what I'm saying? Puma, Big D, another one, rest in peace, that used to get us into the tunnel, Big Chris. Like, yo, I'm gonna go in. Official. But I don't want y'all mistaking that anything that I belong to or part of, that, you know, this is the basis. No, I'm explaining my real life. I'm letting, you know, you into the life of Shabu BLR. And that's why, once again, subscribe, you know, because I'm going to get with this for real, you know, to God in the streets. I had to change, you know, the title because I seen, you know, somebody posted a joint up there at me with a rally, you know. It's like a year ago. I ain't even know it was up there. But if any of y'all want to see me go off, you know, at a parliament, like just strictly, you know what I'm saying, on some mathematical science thing, then, you know, go to that video. It's under Shabu BLR. But this right here, this platform I got right here, you know what I'm saying, is to talk real business, politics, education, you know, street knowledge. You know, but all from the perspective, you know, of a true and living God. Well, like I said earlier, hardcore 5%, you know, Nation of Gods of Earth, East Medina, Medina Warrior. But in the same token, I was an educated man every step of the way. And I made my own choices. But we also are products of our environment. You know, things ain't just happening by chance. You know, I'm going to go all into that with Giuliani, the 9mm, the everything. But I had to come back, you know, to go through it. And to let y'all know what this is all about. Because you're going to receive some jewels from me because, you know, that's what experience gives you. But in the same token, you know, everybody want to know, you know, this history. And I'm going to give it to you by being a living testament of it. No. One of my earth excerpts, you know, who I got all the respect for in the universe. I don't have to mention her name, but, you know, she hit me and she, you know, like Shabu, you know, and I can take constructive criticism. You understand? But the whole thing about it is it's always, you know, two sides to the story, you know, and it was about, you know, where she felt that when I did the interview once again with Glaze, you know, that he was using me more or less on the strength of making the 5% nation look bad, you know. Even some other brothers had they, you know, little say, yo, why did he touch the flag and all that? Why not? The father gave flags to everybody. Anybody can be a 5%. And let's not confuse righteousness with holiness. Because most of the time, when you judge, you know what I'm saying? There's 3 fingers that can be judged right back at you. This is a real world. And this is what we chose to live in. And with everything that's going on or that's happening, still at the end of the day, there ain't no place in the universe as far as this country thing is concerned that I'd rather be in than the United States of America. Don't get it wrong. But we got plenty of problems going on. They trying to take back all our rights. They trying to send us back to like we was 3/5 human beings all over again. And that's the sad part, because y'all cats will pick up a gun and kill one another, you know, based on some nonsense. But in the same token, you won't do nothing to protect your community. Or you won't do nothing when I say protect your community. I'm not saying protect your community by having to pick up a gun. I'm saying protect your community by going down to the school board meetings and making sure that certain things pertaining to your children are addressed. Don't be concerned about them putting a whole bunch of stuff about what went on with us and slavery and everything else in their schools, because the problem is we got to teach that amongst our own selves first. And we don't teach black love to one another, then how can we expect anybody else to be held responsible for us? I'm going to give y'all some real OG, you know what I'm saying, business. Y'all know I want to, you know, curse, but, you know, once again, my man want me, thankfully, you know, that Shy don't get up there. And I really don't like to use a lot of profanity when I'm talking to people because, you know, I want to make sure that understand is understood. And that I'm crystal clear here. And on top of that, you know, I don't want to look like to the rest of the world, you know, like just a Negro, a person who needs to grow. You know, because nigga mean any man or any person. It means any person, a low characteristic. It has nothing to do with pigmentation. At least that's in one of the Webster dictionaries. So like I said, I'm moving all around the place, but I got to give all this to y'all in bits and pieces so I can put it all together, because in my mind, I got to address as many issues as possible, but at the same time, stay focused. So like I said, once again, going back to Cypress, going back, you know, to the community center and, you know, all the outlets that I had to, you know, bring up my character. And a lot of us was, you know, we was all raised the same. That's why y'all can identify with me. Like when they, you know, once again, Poe, sad, you know what I'm saying? But another testament of living reality. But just going back to a short piece of his history, you know, he went to the Fresh Air Fund and all that upstate, you know? And I done, you know, experienced racism from the age of 5 years old. When my mom was taking me down on Greyhound buses coming down to the South. You know, my mother from McLennanville, South Carolina. Mostly all of us that's from, you know what I'm saying, up north, our roots is in the South. Because that's where they bought us. This is where we was traded. You know? That's why it's so much of an embarrassment when y'all young brothers walk around with your pants hanging all down, showing y'all lost self. I don't want to be standing in line looking at another man with, you know, all his lost self hanging out. Because y'all don't understand that when we was on the blocks being traded as slaves, being, you know, the buck, the mandingo or whatever, you know why? They pants was hanging and sagged and they had a hole? in the back of their butt to show the slave master that you was already tamed. Because yes, he already had raped you. He took your manhood. They try to justify it and say, oh, you know, they used to do that in Africa amongst them. Yeah, maybe the ones that went to, you know, the jungles and lost all knowledge or so that they might be talking about, but not the, you know, not the gods, not the kings, not the original pharaoh, you know, and they raped them, and, you know, every time they did it, they took all the knowledge from them. No, that ain't come from us. They came from the foundation, you know, of the Greeks. That's why gymnasium, right? GYM, GYN, new nasium training. So if a bunch of men is around them and they training naked, then what's going to happen? There's no such word in Swahili, Arabic, none of the original languages that deal with, you know, homosexuality. And like I said, I have nothing against the gay community. A person has the right to do and be whoever they choose to be. You know what I'm saying? And some of my best friends have been, you know, of that LBGT community, and, you know, we get along just fine. Well, they still respect, you know, who I am, and I respect who they are. You know, but let's go to the origins of things. That's why I said I'm going to be, you know, I'm going to be moving around. I got to try and give it, you know, as much all to you, and then, you know, bring it all together, because the law is love. So once again, like I said, going back again to Cyprus, another intricate part of growing up there, besides the community center, was the whole hip-hop era. And what I mean by that, we was the foundation of that. They used to have park jams out in Cyprus all the time. And we have a man that they ain't never gave credit in the hip-hop world. You know? DJ Watkins from my project, who I'm going to speak about too, he got credit. But any of y'all know, you know, Mr. Ellis, my girl Robin Ellis' father, who made the kicking coffin, a coffin with turntables, who made Pete Dotson, shout out to the Dotson family, Mikey Dotson, Tony Dotson, Jamie. You know, Mr. Dotson used to be out there balling with us. 55, all that, you know what I'm saying? We was young, he was old back then, you know, because a lot of his sons is older than me, you know? But, you know, the Pete Caboose. And also, he made MC Haswell joint from Pine Street. Shout out to my man Haswell, played ball with me at Franklin K. Lane. I ain't even get into the ballpark, you know what I'm saying? The East New York Ravens with Sam, you know, Sidney Green, Bill Calhoun, you know what I'm saying? The BRC, when it was, you know, the Brownsville Panthers, the Brownsville Jets. That's how I was going through all Brownsville back then. And I got all that story about, you know what I'm saying, the whole Berman and Shepherd crew. The ones who changed the game. I got the newspaper articles. My man Polite, you know what I'm saying, Rob Flintstone, Hennebuck, you know what I'm saying, all that. Real live action, you know? Because then when you look it up, after I show you, you know, the paperwork and everything else, they, you know, what they did is the reason why, you know, they started slamming us. Because remember before, you know, Everybody was getting hit. I was in the era of everybody getting hit with youthful defending. That's why we would go out and wild out. Long as you was under 16, you was good. You go to Spofford, you go to Warwick, whatever, and come back home. But understand me one thing. I ain't never been taught that jail thing. Go back to jail, live in jail, all that. Nah, I'm not with that. I want to be free. But I paid my dues with that too. And I'm going to show you with that too that I got, I'm going to, my paperwork and everything else. And I'm going to go into this later on. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to put too much up there. I don't want to give y'all too much where I faced it 165 to life. You know what I'm saying? And never told on nobody and beat it in trial. That's when I was up in the Beacon. You know what I'm saying? Round 91. Shout out to my man, Derek Hamilton, Bush. He the first one put me on the Strickland, versus Washington case. And of course, shout out, you know what I'm saying, to the Godfather and one of the kings, you know what I'm saying, great gods, you know what I'm saying, of Queens, the desert, the oasis, my man T.A. Tashin, the legal beagle, the genius, the original Jerry the Jew, as far as that legal shit is concerned. But right there, what I just showed you is, 30-page indictment, man. 6 attempts on the C cipher. And I don't condone none of that because we got a lot of height of that going on right now. You know what I'm saying? But, once again, I tell you, I grew up in say it loud, like James Brown said, I'm black and I'm proud, So I respect also, the revolutionary brothers. Because certain things got to be done to bring about a change. That's why Malcolm was so prolific. Because Malcolm said, by any means necessary. By any means necessary. By any means necessary, we got to stop killing one another. But like I said, going back to Cypress, and the music, and of course, Plaza. Mount Everest, Linden Plaza. We had one of the first rappers to come out, Super Rhymes. My man Moppy. His sister Erica. She had some babies by my man Slouch, Peace to the Harrisons, Steven, Stephen, and the whole crew. Another crew that was originally from Cypress and moved up to Linden Plaza. Because back then that was a migration also. So a lot of people from Cypress and pink houses, powerhouses, they moved up. Like I said, Plaza was started in 71. They had the pool, they had the doorman, that was a step up, like Co-op City, Left Rack City, All those places, Lenox Terrace, all those places were step ups for black people back in the days. Nice places. But, things change and stuff come crumbling down. But, along with talking about Mr. Ellis, he also, come on, this is what I'm saying, official. The Dance Masters, Van Dyke, Soul in the Hole. Like I said, rest in power also my OG. You know what I'm saying? Art Ball. And, I still, once again, like I said, brothers, and he said it, you know, because that's how we was back then, and that's how true it is to us really being, you know what I'm saying, hardcore 5%ers, that even when individuals decided to sell heroin, or individuals decided, you know what I'm saying, to be a part of the, you know, the gay community or whatever that they was doing that was a little bit different from what our principle was, they let us know and they went their own way. So I'm still gonna call him powerful, even though he told us to call him Octavius or whatever what he was doing, because I knew he was doing it long before, you know, it went public. And that still didn't change nothing, because realistically for a long time, physically that man could hurt you. But, you know, it ain't about no hand game no more. So, like I was saying, getting back to that, because all that's intertwined. Like I said, you know, East New York and where we was pivotal, because, like I said, we had the train station. So, you know, I was telling y'all about writing graffiti and the 3 Yard Boys and, you know, Hot 110 and everything else was the phase and everything else. And then we had the music. But like I said, I was going to say, the dance masters, they 4, 5, 6 CeeLo, you know, Mr. Ellis helped them with that too. And then we have my mans and them that was in the middle of the project, Randy and them, you know, Lights and Hut Society. Because back then in Cyprus, we used to have what you call Black Family Day. Everybody looked forward to that all year long. All gangsters came from everywhere, far and wide. Like I said, once again, in Glazer's video, you know what I'm saying? I lost thought for that for that little minute. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, when it came to the music thing, individuals came from far and wide, you know. And then we got my man, you know, DJ Keith Watkins, and I ain't even know, you know, that Keith was on all them tours and everything, because he was the first one. Pardon me. What's the days, man?